Bonjour, j'espère que vous allez bien. Aujourd'hui, on va apprendre quelque chose sur les saisons or seasons in English. We have already learned different seasons while we were talking about vacation. You know, in French, there are 4 seasons: le printemps, l'été, l'automne, et l'hiver. Le printemps, the word itself is masculine, which is the spring. L'été, l'été is summer. It is also a masculine. L'automne is also masculine, which means fall, and l'hiver is also a masculine word, which means winter. In other words, un printemps, un été, un automne, and un hiver. But, there is a but. Although all the seasons are masculine in French, but when we say in a particular season, the preposition does change. Like for printemps, au printemps. So if you want to say, I went to Rome in spring or in the spring, then you have to say, je suis allé à Rome au printemps. Or if you want to say in summer, it will be en été. If it is autumn, it will be en automne, and if it is hiver, it will be en hiver. So, why do we use au or on? Because you have to understand, O is used because printemps starts with P, and for the rest of the seasons, they either start with E, A, or silent or mute H. So, therefore, when any season starts with A, E, I, O, U or mute H, you use on. So, en automne, il fait du vent. En automne, il fait du vent. Vent means wind. So, you have strong wind in autumn. Les feuilles tourbillonnent. The leaves, they roll on the, like a turban, they roll on the ground. En hiver, il fait froid. Et la neige tombe. So, in this particular lesson, we are going to talk about the seasons and to try to describe the seasons, because you know many words now by which you can also start describing the landscape and different natural phenomena. So, en automne, il fait du vent et les feuilles tourbillonnent. En hiver, il fait froid. Froid means cold. Et la neige tombe. Et la neige tombe means there is snowfall. Au printemps, il pleut souvent et les fleurs poussent en haut. Au printemps means in spring, it rains very often. Souvent, you have learned this word before. Il pleut souvent et les fleurs poussent en haut and the flowers blossom. En été, il fait beau. En été, il fait beau. In summer, the weather is pleasant. Et puis, il fait très chaud. And it is also very hot. Remember one thing, when we say il fait beau in France, in French context, it is completely different than being in India, which is a tropical country. So, here in winter we can say il fait beau, and in summer il ne fait pas beau. It is very, very hot out here. And as we have discussed before, you also remember, in addition to the 4 seasons that we have in France, in India we have another season which is called la mousson. La mousson is the monsoon, and in monsoon il pleut. So, do you know how do you say an umbrella? An umbrella is called parapluie. So, parapluie is an umbrella. Il pleut au mousson et je porte ma parapluie. It rains in monsoon and I carry my umbrella. Remember one thing, in English, umbrella is the word for different kinds of umbrella, which is not the case in French. In French, parapluie, remember the word ending with pluie. So, parapluie is something, an umbrella that is meant for the rain. And then you have parasol. Parasol is sol comme soleil. Soleil is the sun. So, to protect yourself against the sun rays, you have parasol. So, you have to remember parapluie and parasol. Now, we are going to learn how this word saison is also used for other contexts than describing the climatic conditions. Like for example, you know, France is reputed for its wine. La France est réputée pour son vin. And we have a particular expression which is called la saison des vendanges. So, vendange is la saison des vendanges est la période durant laquelle les grappes de raisin sont ramassées dans les vignes. You know what is vigne? La vigne. V-I-G-N-E-S in English, in French, V-I-G-N-E-S, la vigne. La vigne is the vineyard. So, where you have the grapes coming up, that vineyard. So, during the period when the raisin is collected from the vineyard is called la saison des vendanges. La France est réputée pour son vin and la saison des vendanges dépend de la région dont vous parlez. So, as you know, in France, you have Bourgogne, you have Bordeaux, you have Côte d'Ivoire, different kinds of wine. So, according to your location, la saison des vendanges actually depends in which region you are in. In fact, récolter le vin en Bourgogne au même moment que de la région de Bordelaise. So, la région bordelaise means Bordeaux. Bordeaux is a region in France like Bourgogne. So, you have to understand like Bourgogne and Bordeaux, they have more or less the same period of récolter le vin to make the wine. À Dijon, en Bourgogne, la saison des vendanges a lieu généralement entre septembre et octobre. So now, in this advanced stage, you should be able to understand that in Bourgogne, in Dijon, the saison des vendanges actually takes place between September and October. La saison des vendanges dépend en grande partie de la météo. La météo. So what is la météo? La météo is the climate. So you have to remember, according to the climate, the saison des vendanges comes up in France. And remember, apart from France, France has a natural phenomena of wine, but apart from France, you have also nearby countries like the Italy and Spain and Portugal, which also produces wine. And you have to remember, la saison des vendanges actually depends on the climate and the geography of that area. Now, in our context in India, we can talk about la saison des fruits et des légumes. So, la saison des fruits et des légumes actually is very important for every year. In France, la saison des fruits et des légumes devient de plus en plus importante chaque année. En effet, de nos jours, en France, nous sommes encouragés à consommer les légumes de saison et de fruits de saison. So, with the phenomena of globalization, now we can get mango even in winter, or we can get a winter fruit in summer. But remember, in France, the people are advised to consume the natural vegetables and fruits when it comes up in its natural season. So, les saisons des fruits et des légumes. So, you can ask, quels sont les fruits de cette saison? What are the fruits of this season? Quels sont les légumes de cette saison? So, according to the season, the climatic season, you have also the season of fruits and vegetables. So, remember, la saison des fruits et des légumes is another word which we can use using the term la saison. Afin de consommer des produits locaux, des légumes et des fruits qui poussent dans la région, il faut connaître le climat et la géographie et l'agriculture. Afin donc means in order to. Remember this expression, afin de. Afin de consommer, in order to consume, les produits locaux, the local products, des légumes et des fruits qui poussent dans la région, the legume is the vegetables, des fruits qui poussent, which comes up. In the region, il faut connaître le climat, la géographie et l'agriculture. You have to know the climate, the geography, and agriculture. Now, we are going to use the word season in a complete different aspect, and that aspect being la saison touristique. Tourist season, la saison touristique. So, la saison touristique intervient au mois de juillet et août pour la France, and you have to remember juillet and août are particularly pleasant in France. Ce sont les vacances d'été. It's like summer vacation. So, la saison touristique en France intervient au mois de juillet et août, but si vous souhaitez visiter un pays, il faut éviter la saison touristique. Si vous souhaitez visiter un pays, if you would like to visit a country, it is better to avoid the tourist season. Why? Because pendant la saison touristique, les prix seront plus élevés par rapport aux autres mois de l'année. That means the price will be higher in comparison to other months of the year. And la possibilité de voyager à un autre moment de l'année will also, the possibility of traveling another moment of the year will also give you more space. All the monuments will be overcrowded, and all the places will be overcrowded, all the hotels will be more expensive. So, how do you say that in French? Pendant la saison touristique, les prix seront plus élevés par rapport aux autres mois de l'année, et la possibilité de voyager à un autre moment de l'année est mieux pour visiter le patrimoine. Les sites touristiques. Le patrimoine means the heritage sites. Les sites touristiques means the tourist sites. La saison sportive. So, we are going to learn another word which is related to the word saison. La saison sportive. Sportive is definitely a word that is coming from sports. So, la saison sportive concerne le sport en général. Beaucoup de personnes s'intéressent au sport et suivent des événements et des compétitions sportives. So, sportive seasons are those seasons which are about a sport, and many people actually follow it, and there are multiple competitions and events around that sports. Why? Because there are certain sports which you cannot play in Europe always. For example, you cannot do ski in summer. So, in saison, you can do ski in summer in some places, but not in most of the places. So, une saison de chaque sport is called la saison sportive. For example, le ski en hiver, le beach volley en été. So, la saison sportive. Another word that will come to you very often related to the word season is la saison des soldes. The saison des soldes is sale. You know, even in India or in other countries, there are a moment, there are durations among which you have sale in all the shops of garments and most of the consumer durables. So, similarly in France, you have la saison des soldes, and remember, the saison des soldes is actually a period which is quite decided. So, la saison des soldes a lieu means takes place. La saison des soldes a lieu durant 6 semaines début juillet et début janvier en France. Vous pouvez acheter des habits à très bon prix. So, what is bon prix? Bon prix means cheap price. Avoir le bon prix means having a very cheap price. So, la saison des soldes or the sale takes place for 6 weeks in the beginning of July and the beginning of January in France, and you can buy des habits, means the clothes, you can vêtements, you can buy des habits, des vêtements à très bon prix. You can buy them at a very low price. Les vêtements de saison. So, what are the vêtements de saison? Seasonal clothes. En hiver, les vêtements de saison sont les pulls, les bottines, l'écharpe et les gants. So, like you know these words already. So, like in winter, when you go out, you have to put sweater, you need scarf, you need gloves. So, all these things are called les vêtements de saison. Les vêtements de cette saison sont plus chauds pour se protéger contre le froid. So, the vêtements de cette saison means hiver, for winter. Les vêtements de l'hiver or vêtements de cette saison sont plus chauds, like more warm, pour se protéger contre le froid, to protect yourself against the cold. So now, we are going to talk about another usage of saison. La saison d'une série. You must be all knowing about it, like season of some series. Like for example, that comes on television, episode by episode. So, la saison d'une série sont les épisodes de télé de courte durée, généralement entre 25 et 45 minutes, et disponibles sur une périodicité spécifique. So, when you talk about a particular anime or a series that you follow or a soap that you follow on television, you can ask, quelle est la saison de cette série en ce moment dans le télé? What is the season? So, the season of a television series or something on OTT. La season of a series or on television or OTT is called la saison d'une série. And then we are going to talk about la saison culturelle. What is la saison culturelle? So, you know, in most of the countries, when you go in summer. Some places are very good in summer, some places are very hot in summer. For example, in Delhi, the summer starts at the end of March and it goes on till June, July, depending on the year. So, if you have noticed, in Delhi, most of the cultural events, they take place between September till March. And interestingly, between September and March, in India, we have also two major festivals. Now, I am going to say this entire thing in French. Si vous avez observé, à Delhi, l'été commence vers la fin mars. Et entre septembre et le mars, plupart des événements culturels se passent à Delhi. C'est pourquoi la saison culturelle à Delhi est entre septembre et la fin mars. En septembre et vers la fin mars, on a aussi deux grands festivals de l'Inde. Vers le fin septembre, nous avons le Diwali, vous savez, le festival de lumière, et vers la fin mars, on a le festival de Holi. Holi, c'est le festival de couleurs. Donc, la saison culturelle à Delhi dure entre septembre et fin mars. I hope you understood what I said in French, because at this advanced stage, we are going to use more and more complicated forms so that you get acquainted to that, or acquainted to the French ways of saying things. And in this particular lesson, today we have learned il y a 4 saisons dans une année en France, hiver, printemps, été, automne. Et en Inde, on a aussi le mousson. Et on a vu comment le mot saison est exploité dans des contextes différents. So we have also seen that how we can use the word season in different contexts. So, today I would request you to rather write something. So, let me first say it in French. Activité proposée, c'est le devoir. Utilisez le mot saison avec ses sens particuliers et élargis par rapport à votre ville ou village. Perhaps a little bit difficult for you to understand, but use the word season with its actual sense, that is summer, winter, autumn, monsoon, and its extended meaning, élargi, le sens élargi, par rapport à votre ville ou village. So what I am asking you to do is like, you can say that you live in a small village in the Himalayas. So you write how your village in Himalayas is during summer, en été, in winter, en hiver. Si vous avez le mousson, if you have monsoon or not, et en automne, et en printemps. So you can describe the plants, the flowers, the animals, the other things, and also if you are living in a Himalayan city or village, then definitely during summer in India, you have more number of tourists. So you can also talk about la saison touristique. You can also talk about la saison des légumes et des fruits, the vegetables and the fruits of that area. Or even if you are in down south somewhere in Kerala, you can also talk about la saison touristique, les légumes, la saison des légumes, et les saisons du sport and la saison culturelle. With this, I wish that you will be able to actually use the word saison and talk about season with particular words that we have today learned during this lesson. And I wish with this thing that Bon courage, study well, try to get all the words that we have learned today and many, many new expressions. Bonne continuation, à la prochaine et au revoir.